Hey everyone, welcome to Neighbor Science, the only podcast about political economy and anime. I'm Ryan Salisbury,
I'm Chris Nivens.
and today we have a guest, the soy boy of the deep.
Hey, how you doing?
We're all doing good, I think. We were talking a little bit before the show. Hey, we almost never do this, but since we're all recording remotely, let's do a can check. What's everyone drinking right now?
I've got an eighth of a water bottle left from working out earlier.
So you're on an alcohol break still?
Yeah, for another few days.
Okay.
For my health and sanity.
Okay. Soy boy?
I have a nice $10 bottle of sake. I can't actually off my head right now, and a natural apricot that I'm doing. A little sip of sake, a little bit of apricot.
Nice.
Very nice.
So not even Chris has seen this yet because we always recorded at his house. He has not seen the depths of my depravity, but I'm a 3-drink guy at home. So right now I have kratom with tart cherry juice mixed together.
Oh yeah.
I also have a carafe of Ozeki, not the Ozeki dry that I usually drink, but I saw it today. I was like, ooh, this could be good. It's like more full body. It's pretty good. And then I also am drinking a Mung Hai 8592 pu'er tea.
Oh, nice.
So those are my 3 drinks. I'll probably have some water later. I usually keep a big, what's it called, a growler of water next to me so I can get more water while I'm at my desk.
Yeah, nice.
I work from home, so this is why I had this like psychotic setup here.
I get you.
Yeah.
I have an update.
Oh,
The $10 Fukai. It's not good.
Fukai, okay. I haven't heard of that one.
It's like a PBR of sake, probably.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I think this Ozeki bottle was like $8 or $9, but I also get it for very cheap because I live in Koreatown, and so there's lots of sake and makioli around here.
Nice.
It's really weird. I live in a small town in Louisiana.
Yeah, how the fuck do you get it, dude?
When I visit New Orleans, I'll check out the sake in the grocery stores, and it's like about $2 cheaper. And there's these really good like little bottles of sake that came in a little sake cup. So you're
you showed me that. Yeah.
Better. I bought them all. They're gone. They never came back.
Oh shit.
They just disappeared. And yeah, so it's like a couple of grocery stores, and that's about it. And the liquor store was worse than the grocery.
Oh, so you know what's really fucking bizarre is this Ozeki that I'm drinking. It's made in Oregon.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a sake brewery in Oregon. There's another one in California. It's fuck, I just had it. It comes in a blue bottle. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
I'll never see that bottle, but
there's 3 different kinds, and I tried one. It was pretty good. It tasted kind of like green pea, like Baiju. You've ever had that? It's like a Chinese liquor.
No.
I haven't had it, but I've heard of it.
It's very rare. The one you can get in the U.S. is called Confucius Wisdom, and it comes in like a tiny little. It looks like a sake carafe. The bottle does.
It's very rare, Chris. Have you ever had it?
Baiju? No, not yet.
Too rare for my blood.
It's one of those things that people say is like super potent. Like, oh my god, you'll never be able to handle it, even if you're like a liquor drinker. But it's just liquor.
It's just liquor. It'll kill you or it won't, and that's basically all there is to say about it.
Yep. It has a weird taste that Westerners would not be used to. That's the main thing about it, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Familiar as a sailor, Caribbean stout known as Dragon Stout in Jamaica. And if you are ever in Jamaica, I strongly suggest that you only get 1 or 2. Not the 12 that I know, Dragon Stouts in Jamaica. And the Jamaicans, when you are like a cis white man, which I unfortunately am, ask for a Dragon Stout, they look at you like you're completely insane.
We get tanked off of it.
Ask for that. That's my relative knowledge of drinking.
And you know that, of course, because you're a diving instructor in the Caribbean.
Absolutely. Right. Long, lush blonde hair and a little Speedo, and let's learn how to dive, kid.
Yeah.
Fun.
His real name is actually Rob Kamen. If you couldn't tell already, this is actually Peter. He's imitating an American accent. This is his alter ego that he's talked about before on the show. So, just a little background on our guest today.
I'm in character so much I can't do a bad South African accent like I was doing before. Actually, it's a Swedish.
I actually have a flawless one if you want to hear it.
Oh, go for it.
Hello, I'm from South Africa.
Oh, perfect. You have to have the.
Anyway, so let's get into it today. We got a lot to talk about. All right, so let's go back. The 1960s. It was a time of rapid human advancement, giving us countless visions of the utopia that was to come at the end of it. None of these was more utopian than the idea proposed by J.L. Marrow of limitless supplies of metal welling up from the core of the earth and out of the seabed. Those limitless supplies of metal are now, of course, being desperately clawed at by various states racing to increase metals production at any expense to our future. Today, we are talking about deep sea mining and also post-apocalyptic sea worlds, because we got to talk about anime. So deep sea mining is pretty straightforward. It's mining that takes place on the seabed at very low depths, like over 1 kilometer down. At its current state of the art, a ship drops a bunch of robots and a big slurry pump down to the bottom of the ocean, and the robots like take pictures, grab stuff with their robot hands, and eventually use a big like circular saw like roller looking thing to scrape up the seafloor and vacuum up the mineral rich slurry that they dredge up.
At this time,
go ahead.
Is where I go full Alex Jones.
Uh-huh.
I just start yelling and yelling and yelling. But I'm not a reactionary, so I'm not going to do that.
Well, I was just about to get to the part about how they turn the friggin' frogs gay. So
no, they're going to be dead after that. That's not their plan. Their plan there is just to kill it all, man.
Give them a little.
But
yeah, and also, there's not a whole lot of frogs down that deep.
I tell you what.
I mean, there's some, but
I don't know.
Only the gay ones. They're already gay, so they don't have to do anything.
I don't think even a conspiracy theorist like Alex Jones can actually guarantee what he knows down there and what he doesn't know down there. But I would be willing to bring him down there.
I would too. I will say that, especially now that he's a big Trump guy.
Yeah, I would love to take him down there and just verify all that. And I'm gonna hold my breath while he does.
In fact, I believe in personal responsibility, so I'll let him just go down all by himself.
Yeah. It's kind of like the flat Earth guy that made the rocket that like never went there. You know,
whatever.
Help us, Alex Jones. You're our only hope.
He's going for another shot, but I think
okay.
I think the self-made submarine is just as valid as the self-made rocket.
Well, I hope he proves us all wrong.
Yeah, there's gay frogs down there. Go down there and find that. The human body can only go down like half of that. So please, Alex Jones.
This is why we never see mermaids anymore.
Yes. All right. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you continue because it's something I hold dear in my heart.
So the process of deep sea mining can, at the minimum, kill anything that happens to live in or on the seabed. From the process of grating at them with a giant buzzsaw, as well as there's like a bunch of filter feeding life down there. That when you dredge up a bunch of silt, it increases like the ocean's turbidity, which is like basically the amount of particles in suspension in the water, and if filter feeders like suck that up, they can actually like their whatever organs they have are can get like clogged up, and so they basically like suffocate or starve.
I'm just gonna cut in here real quick. I'm sorry. What would you all consider a buzzsaw?
I'm thinking like a circular saw, but there's like a bunch of them.
Yeah, I've used one of those underwater, like a skill saw. Like you can cut some like 2x4s, like some lumber with. It's got like a little rotating blade, and then, I mean, I've used all that stuff down there. And once you start using that, you can't see anymore. Like this whole entire thing is completely insane because you're going somewhere where you. Let's just take this aspect for it to think about it, and I might be jumping ahead here, but we haven't even seen anything down there. Like, we might have seen some things that deep, but we haven't seen them there that deep.
Yeah, I've seen pictures at one of the mining sites that we'll talk about later.
Okay,
but they're not using the actual like mining equipment; they're just using the robot arm.
Right.
And they're like grabbing these like polymetallic nodules that come out. They look like little stalagmites.
And they're chopping.
Yeah, I can't imagine that these robots could work any other way than like a Roomba. You know, they just like sort of go around blindly dredging up everything. Because like you said, like as soon as you kick up some particles, you're like you can't see shit anymore. Right. And that's including like radar, probably sonar. You know,
yes.
The greatest advantage to my career path is like an ROV taking my job, and eventually I will be that robot operator because the robot can't really do what I can do underwater, but I can make a robot think like I can underwater.
And just to remind everyone, that is actually snorkeling in the Caribbean coral reefs for tourists.
Basically, what I do is I take your wife while you don't want to, like, go into the ocean and get in the salt water, and we do things, and then you get to play tennis with this.
And you're talking about cops' wives, right?
Well, hopefully they're cops' wives. Those are my favorite. Brought to you.
Yes, that's the real neighbor science.
Yeah.
So anyway, so in ecology, the part of the sea that they're basically going to be destroying is called the benthic layer, and because it's where most of the like detritus ends up, like all the dead body parts and stuff, it's a really important part of the sea for like closing nutrient cycles because like all the life down there basically digests the stuff that other creatures won't eat, and then shits out nutrients or whatever. And it's also very poorly understood because it's mostly out of reach for humans, as Soy Boy pointed out earlier, and so has only been studied fairly recently by ROVs, which are, if we didn't say that already, it's remotely operated underwater vehicles. And so the supposed benefit to all this is the limitless supply of metal coming out from the massive mantle layer of the Earth, which, like, sure, if we could start harvesting the mantle layer of the Earth, there probably is a limitless supply functionally of metal there. But the problem with that is, like, the stuff that actually comes out on the scale of millimeters or centimeters per million years. So it's really not limitless at all. It's, like, very limited.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if I can cut in real quick with a little Soy Boy knowledge, that the detritus that you were talking about, that actually eventually turns into what we like to now call as oil field cowboys as product. And
True,
that eventually, within a couple thousand years, and it takes a little while, that eventually turns into like oil that we're gonna need for our shopping bags.
Yep.
While we're off the solar grid,
of course,
because we need a little pellet to inflate a small bag to put our 6-pack of PBRs in. I don't drink that. I drink PBR sake, but yes.
And our meal prep service packaging and all that stuff as well.
If you're thinking ecologically, the oil is a part of the system that's already there. So by going down there and mining that, you're disrupting a lot more than you're actually thinking about, because it's a 1,000-year progress. When you think about ecology, you need to look at it in aspects of Earth years, tree years.
Yep.
So I thought that a lot of oil industry people believed in the abiogenesis oil theory, that oil does not come from decayed life. Is that not true?
I mean, the oil field guys that I work with, their thing that they believe in is beating you up, and Chris beat you up too.
Yeah.
So, next question.
Right, as we've established. Yeah.
I'm called Soy Boy for a reason. It's not because I'm like a little tiny guy. Like, you guys are probably soy boys as far as I'm concerned, but for me,
not me. I'm actually a jock, so
right. Yeah. No, I get you. Still it.
Part of the soletariat.
Yeah, jock proletarian. Weird. Yeah, I'm sorry, guy. It's a shitty job that he's got to do, and you gotta be a little bit tough. But like the boy named Sue, you can call me Sue. I'll take that. You can call me Sue from now on. How about that?
So for these deep sea mining sites, most of them are in either international waters or disputed waters, or territories that don't belong to countries that would want to that countries that don't have access to mining equipment and wouldn't want to claw the guts of the earth for metal. So the main mining site is that people are looking at now is in Papua New Guinea. And so the companies that are looking at it are, of course, UK and Canadian and US and Omani based. So all this stuff falls under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which is also known as the UNCLOS. I don't know if people pronounce that acronym. I'm not going to, because that'll probably make me sound like a dumbass. But anyway, I'll just call it the Law of the Sea. So it was an international convention created by the UN to establish regulations and governing bodies surrounding the world's seas. So most states have ratified it, with a few exceptions. The most notable, of course, being this country, the United States.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. And even less surprising is that the reason they haven't ratified it is because they want more jurisdiction over seabed mining. They're opposed to supposed wealth redistribution that this law of the sea would entail. And they're also opposed to mandatory technology transfers. So we want to keep all our tech to ourselves.
Hey, Ryan, can I pause you real quick?
Sure.
That's messed up. But just think about this. Seabed mining. Imagine you're a gold prospector, back in the 1800s, right? This is
all right. I got my red long johns and overalls, and I'm smoking my corncob pipe.
Right. And you're gonna go out in that river and just dig all them rocks up and find all the biggest gold and become a millionaire.
That's a terrible job.
All right. So you got to do that. You're coming from wherever in the east, manifest destiny into the west,
California way.
Do that, and you put a blindfold on. Just go out there, jackhammer, and start tearing shit up. That doesn't sound like a smart thing to do. No, you.
Wait, if I'm blindfolded and I'm digging around, do I have to also hold my breath at the same time? Well, I mean, why not?
Yes.
Once you get started, you can't see shit.
So this whole UN Law of the Sea thing was, of course, blocked by the U.S. Republicans. That is the U.S. joining onto it. And it was led by the famous Senator Inhofe, who I think is from Oklahoma.
Classic.
Yeah. So trads and conservatives in the U.S. oppose it because of the Monroe Doctrine, which for those of you who did not go to an American public school, or for those of you who did go to public school, treats the entire American continent, like the North and South America and the surrounding territories, as part of the U.S.'s like jurisdiction, and and forms the basis for like all the extensive military and intelligence operations that were used to like crush communism and any regime that wasn't favorable to U.S. business interests in Latin America. So it strikes again here. But that's actually not really the worst thing ever, because this governing body, the International Seabed Authority, it's based out of Jamaica. I don't think it's Kingston. I think it's somewhere else, but it might be Kingston.
Yeah, never go full Dragon Stout. Never go full Dragon Stout.
So the International Seabed Authority is like it's a UN created organization.
They're the ones who make the Casper mattresses, right?
They're trustworthy. They're good. They're good.
Oh, they're good? Okay.
Yeah, so they'll mail you a waterbed.
Waterbed.
Yeah.
Damn it, wrong bed
Only
authority.
if you're white.
Yeah, right.
Only if you're white. Or maybe a leader.
So they're like this international organization that's supposed to govern like resource extraction rights on the bottom of the ocean. Mm-hmm. And it was actually not even formed until 1994, which is like the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea went through 3 stages. So the first one ended in 1958. I think it started in like 1955. Mm-hmm. And then the last one ended in 1982. But the ISA didn't actually go into force until 94. And so, like most supposedly democratic organizations, it's divided into a chamber with equal representation, which is the democratic part, and a council of elders that actually control everything.
So it's a crock of shit.
If I was the Alex Jones type right now.
But this is real. It's just like the House and the Senate, or the House of Commons and the House of Lords. It's like same pattern everywhere.
Would my volume be a 10 or an 8? It definitely wouldn't be a 5. It would be up there between like 6 and 10. Oh my god, that's some crazy ass like government, like jurisdiction, like clawing at things that like who's on top of that? Who's the big boss?
Well, I didn't write down his name, but he's just like some guy that was just.
But
like
I don't
appointed.
want his name. I would like his address. But you're right.
Well, we would all like his address, wouldn't we?
Well, it's weird, but we're not there yet. We're just talking about like this is the corporations dealing with just undermining seas. We're like into those robots down there taking their jobs, which you people don't want those jobs.
I definitely don't want those jobs.
I would prefer not to have that job. Yeah.
Next is gonna
Yeah, anyone who wants the job of get deep into the ocean and dig, you're welcome to it. So this the ISA here. So the let's see, it has an assembly, which is like the equal body representation thing. It has a council, which is a 36-member so-called equitable representation body. The assembly has like one representative from every country. And then it also has a 30-member legal and technical commission, which that's fine. And then a 15-member finance committee, which is like, they're the ones that actually control all the money, which is like, that's kind of where the real power is, I think. Yeah.
How many countries are there in the world, like declared states?
So like
well, in here there's 167. And
so there we are.
Yeah, and there's one council member for every 4.5 countries or something like that.
Right.
It's really cool.
Just like so many hundreds of millions of people.
yeah. Very good.
Those are basically like
body
that work for Chevron, Exxon, and Shell.
And I'm sure that on the council there is a delegate from Papua New Guinea that can advocate for the interests of the people who don't want their country mined. You know?
Right.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the biggest house in Papua New Guinea.
Oh no, definitely not. No.
Yeah.
No.
And so another thing I found in reading like the legal documents that create the ISA is like they basically control like all of the money that goes into it internally, which I assume is like completely done by the finance committee. So it's like probably a highly corrupt organization, especially because part of those articles that say like, oh yeah, when you get to control all the money that goes in there, say explicitly the goal of the ISA is to stimulate commerce and resource extraction. So like they're inherently supposed to be getting people to do deep sea mining and stuff, which is really good.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Is that sponsored by the United Nations?
Yeah, it was created by the United Nations.
Wait, so you're talking about a mafia creation under the United Nations? Yep, Alex Jones should be behind this and be like, fuck you, like, you know, like, I'm sorry I came on this episode looking for a fight with that guy. Sorry about the boys. But, like, come on, man. There's, like, a global
cabal of lizard people.
Right. Looking to control your subsea.
And the lizards are on the finance board, deciding on all the mining rights for everyone.
Those lizard people. Right. Billy said some crazy ass real shit though.
Yeah.
Crazy ass real shit that like people don't understand, and like outer space has the same ridiculousness to it. And no one has any rights to any of that. Ask Aquaman.
So another thing that was set up by this law of the sea thing is part of the international dispute for deep sea mining, which is called exclusive economic zones. It extends the sovereign territory of every country to 200 miles off of its coast, and basically says that like they have the exclusive right to any resources they can pilfer from that territory.
Yep.
So my plantation exceeds past the 50 miles that you believe that my plantation was at. Continue on, plantation.
So the main company that is heading the effort for deep sea mining is called Nautilus Minerals.
That's a creative one.
Yeah. I guess they named it after the type of life form that they're going to kill trying to get the minerals.
Right.
Bastard.
So it's a company, it's headquartered in Brisbane, Australia, but it's also headquartered in Toronto. There's like, it's a very like, the structure is very complicated.
We need 2 banks to make these boats. Boats are expensive, guys. Like, I don't know if you know the economy behind boats, but boats can get pricey.
Yeah, I mean, you have to grind up a lot of kids' bones.
I heard was I don't know if you know the economy behind Boatsy, which I assume is like an aquatic version of Goatsy.
What the fuck?
Man,
my brain is shutting that door permanently. I'm not going anywhere.
Boats don't get the respect that airplanes make. Like, get respect for. There's hydrodynamics and there's aerodynamics. And if you're not,
and hydrodynamics is what you need for Boatsy.
Right. It could cost you millions and millions of dollars to change the name of the boat you decided to let the people vote for. Yeah. Never trust people.
Well, in that case, I have a new idea where we graffiti new names on boats that people will want to change immediately, and then they basically ransom them for hundreds of millions of dollars to change the boat name.
I'm into that.
Hey, look, I got a better idea. Boats are named after patriarchy most of the time, so like, let's just change the name of those boats take those boats, make those boats autonomous states.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want those boats back, you're welcome to come back on board of the boat. But hello, you're in an autonomous state, and I'm not going to talk about what's going to happen there.
Yep.
But legally, you might not exist anymore.
I mean, it sounds good to me.
Boats are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anarchists should take boats.
So we'll just get a bunch of boats and put them 400 miles off the coast of every country, and basically take over the ocean.
It's not even that far. You only have to go like a mile out to federal waters.
Well, we want the exclusive economic zone around us.
Right.
All right. So Nautilus Minerals. So they're the first company that's trying to set up commercial deep sea mining operations.
Mm-hmm.
So they already have a site called Solwara 1. Which is located 1,600 meters down in the waters around Papua New Guinea, off of its northeasternmost province, which is called New Ireland. What a fucking uncreative name that is.
If you're Irish, like, let the island be Irish, and like, fuck the British and whatever history has to do with it. Like,
Could you imagine like Islanders speaking in like an Irish accent? We really care about the sea here. You best get off our island. Our culture goes back thousands of years.
I love Ireland and I love Boston, so I'm not even going to do New Ireland. But imagine just being choked by water to death. And
that's what we're going to do to the Nautilus Minerals people, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
soon.
We should probably be choked by water, but continue.
I feel like there's a joke about Brexit in there somewhere.
There is. So we got Trew joining us. He just popped into the server. So if you're wondering who that is.
Here to make Brexit jokes. Ireland, it should be Britain that's underwater.
Exactly.
Well, it is in a metaphorical way. It's called Brexit.
There we go.
It's a little political humor for you. All right, so
dude, you can get into Brexit and deep sea mining at the same time. That's not fair.
Yeah, that's not fair.
But that's what I expect when it comes to anything deep sea. Everyone wants to ignore me. That's fine. I appreciate that.
So War 1 is supposed to have copper, gold, silver, and zinc in like these deposits called seafloor massive sulfide. I don't really understand what the fuck that is, but it basically means like it comes from chains of underwater volcanoes and hydrothermal vents. And they also found another site that they declared called Solwara 12, which is 25 kilometers from the first site. And
deepish, just oh my god, deep.
Yeah,
and I've been 300 feet deep. Imagine like going scuba diving 300 feet deep. If you've ever been scuba diving, I don't care what anybody's been scuba diving before. If you know about scuba diving, I went 300 feet deep. That's fucking crazy.
Wild.
To go as deep as, and you gave that metric of it.
Mm-hmm.
The metric is more, like comfortable for Americans than what foot is. So when you look at the media that talks about this, look at it if it gives you meters a foot. If it's giving you meters, it's giving you a comfortable like depth. If it's a footage that you're used to that you can like maybe comprehend, it's kind of weird because like human beings can only do like a Eiffel Tower, like a
Eiffel Tower depth.
Right, like you do an Eiffel Tower or you do
1,600 meters is almost a mile.
Yeah, that's
right.
Pretty deep.
Yeah.
Really
It's
deep.
like literally 40 feet off of a mile. The deepest I've been underwater is 12 feet in a 12 feet pool.
Yeah.
So we're about to get a bunch more gold for the Pope, of course,
nice.
From Papua New Guinea, who's actually very opposed to this mining effort. I was not able to get much information on them. I guess that was mostly oversight on my part, but so there has been some resistance from Papua New Guineans to this effort. So it actually seems to like increase the perceived risk of the company to the point where like the last update that I saw on Nautilus Mining was that they are declaring the Canadian equivalent of bankruptcy, with like Chapter 13, which means like
Normal.
restructuring all their debts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 of their 5 board members and the CEO resigned. So I have the board here from Bloomberg, but I don't know if it's actually
current.
I don't know if it reflects that. Yeah, I don't know if it reflects that change. So as of whenever this was, their board members are 2 Omani guys, both named Al Barwani. I don't know if they're actually related. I tried to figure that out. I even found like a podcast that Tarek Al Barwani did.
Mm-hmm.
Give us the link to that.
It's kind of weird. He's like a super like hype guy. Like he's like, hey, blah, welcome to my thing. Today we're talking to Dr. Muhammad Al Barwani. Blah blah blah. Here's some music, and then he plays some music, and he's like, so Muhammad Al Barwani is the founder of MB Holding, largest corporation in Oman. He's the pride of Oman. He's a billionaire. Blah blah blah. It's wild.
Weird.
And Tarek is actually the CEO of the largest mining company in Oman, which is a subsidiary of MB Holding, that one that Dr. Muhammad started, which that makes me think that they are related. I don't know how.
Check this out.
Muhammad is much older, so he could be like his dad or his uncle or something like that. But anyway,
yeah.
And so the other board members
I think I've heard of these guys actually.
Oh, okay. And so the other board members are like these Canadian assholes. One of them's like a board member of a Canadian defense company. One is a guy associated with some other mining companies in Canada, and one is associated with some maritime logistics companies. And just to name names, just so we name names, it's Mr. John McCoach. He doesn't have a fucking PhD. Mr. J. Lehman, which is a fucking hilarious name to me.
He's even stupider than the other guy.
Yeah. That's the mining guy.
Negative doctorates.
Yeah. And Mr. Jonathan Whitworth. And I like how they put Mr. before all these guys.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, this last guy's got to be like just like the most sloping browed individual you've ever met. You know, they're just
all of that's bullshit, man. Because like back in the day when you were like, they had serfs and assholes.
The two classes. That's Marxism, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're assholes too. So whatever. Like they had like nomenclature that went along with that. These bourgeois fucking dicks are just like throwing money at some stuff. They have no idea what they're talking about.
Yep.
No idea. And they're just like throwing money at it.
Yeah,
and,
the Muhammad Barwani's company is like the biggest shareholder of Nautilus. They have 30% equity.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Nautilus is an amazing name. And I wish someday
it's pretty good, actually. I gotta admit,
an amazing name like that.
So I looked at this bankruptcy order for Nautilus Minerals. So one thing that's weird to me that I found is like apparently bankruptcy in Canada is handled by the Canadian Supreme Court. That's like where the first and second court order went to. So
okay,
instead of like
bankruptcies,
deciding on the Constitution, they're just like, oh yeah, you need to know how to restructure your debt. Yeah, we'll write an extensive report on that.
No, that's cool. I'm gonna spend. I owe him $10,000. I'll pay $5,000.
Yeah, right.
Probably some guy named like Gord.
Yeah, right.
You know, the Honorable Justice Gord, who's like telling you how to pay off your debts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they restructure their debt, and so I don't really know a lot about how bankruptcy proceedings work, but I think that the monitor is essentially the person that makes sure that they do everything correctly. Mm-hmm. So that's being handled by PricewaterhouseCoopers. That everyone's probably heard of. Yep. I just want to read the names of their attorneys because they're so fucking funny to me.
Oh yeah, that shit is good.
So the PricewaterhouseCoopers attorney is named Mary Buttery, and then so there's a finance arm of Nautilus Minerals called Deep Sea Mining Finance, and their attorney is named Vicky Tickle.
Jesus.
Hey, tickle my pickle, Vicky Tickle.
Both of these people have been tormented in life endlessly.
Yeah. Deservedly.
Yes. Yeah, right. Their souls are rotten.
They are lawyers.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine the bankruptcy report or whatever it is itself, authored by Buttery and Tickle, just straight up on the fucking title page. Yeah,
so
we're good.
I was trying to figure out what the purpose of this thing is. Like the Deep Sea Mining Finance Company is it was formed by Nautilus Minerals. But it's not it's owned by MB Holding.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if I remember correctly, and it the purpose seems to be to loan money to itself. Like it loans money to Nautilus Minerals.
That sounds
but
extremely
it's
capitalist.
By Nautilus Minerals.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand how that shit works.
No big deal.
Maybe we can get an expert sometime to figure that out. But that's one thing that I found out that I was confused about.
Sounds like economy.
Yes. So I'll just briefly talk UK Seabed Resources Limited. It's not anywhere near a functioning commercial operation like Nautilus is, but it was approved much earlier. So it's a wholly owned subsidiary of Lockheed Martin UK. So it fucking sucks.
Wait, Lockheed Martin UK?
Yes.
No big deal.
Yeah. And it got in 2013 or 2014. It got a 15-year exploration contract from our main man David Cameron, the former Prime Minister of the UK.
Oh yeah, lizard guy.
Guy's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yes, he is the chief lizard.
Chief lizard.
I'm a liberal. It's okay. He's fun.
The other major party in the deep sea mining, not space race, sea race, I guess.
Yeah.
It's China. And so for one, they're actually helping Nautilus Minerals. They're providing financial and material support to Nautilus Minerals. So they're cooperating with foreign businesses to, do this terrible shit. And then they're also trying to do it themselves. So there is a submersible craft that they have, which the articles that I read called it famous. But I don't know how a fucking submersible could be famous. But anyway, it's called
the Nautilus.
It's called Jiao Long,
Famous.
which is named after a Chinese deity. And it's this big ass thing. You should look it up. It's JIAOLG. It looks pretty cool actually, but it's not really. It's sort of like how fighter jets kind of look really cool. But
it's not cool. It's not even as cool as fighter jets. Are you listening to me right now? I'm about to pants. And by pants, I mean my wetsuit. Because what I do on a day-to-day job is I piss probably 3 times into my suit. How many times do you work?
I do that, but at least you're underwater.
No, I mean really, dude. Do you piss your pants underwater?
Oh, dude, I would pee all the time.
Why wouldn't I? Yeah. If the whales are doing it, I might as well go for it.
Jiao Long, the submersible, next year will be making its way around the world after a 15-month upgrade to do this. So it's going to make its way around the world to explore for potential mines for China to exploit.
Nice.
And
this is fine. This is all
right. It's good. Okay. It's good. They're looking in the South China Sea as well, which historically has been disputed territory. I think they've most of the disputes have been about military operations, but because of this new thing they have going, this Belt and Road Initiative thing, where they're trying to cooperate with other countries supposedly and build infrastructure and lift everyone up or whatever, which I really want to cover in a future episode because everyone says it's neocolonialism or whatever.
Right. It's neo-retro colonialism, actually.
Yeah. And so like other countries are actually be okay with them exploring the South China Sea for minerals in terms of like politically, that is.
Right.
Which means a war zone.
Yeah. As long as it's not a war zone, they're fine, I guess. Well, as long as it's not a war zone against other humans. If it's a war zone against life, that's fine.
But mining means
squid people, precisely.
Yeah, they're gonna kill all the squid people.
I mean, that's the sort of thing a Humilian would do.
You know what I'm talking about. Neither of you motherfuckers know what I'm talking about. Dealing with like regular swinging a sledgehammer,
swinging your big hammer in the metal factory underwater.
And Trew, you actually missed this part, but it's actually laser hammers. It's not just regular.
Oh,
yeah. Mm-hmm. So they're made of lasers.
That's a future role.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey,
some Star Trek shit.
I never did a laser hammer. Fuck you. I do a real hammer. This is a real.
It's a laser hammer, and it's used by robots.
So as long as we're cool with backing the conversation up a bit, I was wondering about the 200-mile thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's like arbitrary and weird, and coastlines tend to be a pretty hot topic.
Yep.
So apparently it's 200 miles from the baseline, which is determined by the coastal state, which I think refers to whoever it is. So you get to determine your own baseline, but there are some rules.
The first convention on the law of the sea, the main thing that they set up was, I guess, prior to this whole thing, there was no international cooperation about giving people access to the sea. So if you were a landlocked country, then you're a landlocked country, and there would be stuff like Silk Road type shit where you have to pay the toll to get anywhere, or you have to find a secret passage to the ocean to get around. And so the first UNCLOS basically said if you're a landlocked country, then you can go through countries to get to the sea so that you have free access to it. But then in exchange, you have to allow free passage by other countries through your territory. So it's kind of like a mutual exchange of land for sea passage.
It's pretty neat.
Which I was reading that and I was like, I wonder. This is the most liberal thing I've thought in a while, but I was like, I wonder if we could use this to say that refugees have to be allowed through European countries.
Well, only if they're commodities, right?
If you look at the UNCLOS 1 of 1958, you will find...
No, just the interesting part is this whole thing about straight baselines. Because when you have islands on your coast, you get to just draw a line between them.
Oh, nice. So the last thing I'll say about the Chinese deep sea mining stuff is that the deputy director of the State Oceanic Administration of China, a guy named Lin Shanqing, says that projects that endanger marine ecosystems will not be given the green light.
Cool. Nice to hear that.
Shit.
Hopefully he means that. I don't know if he does.
Fuck you, guy.
Yeah, we need to. I think we need to learn more about how all the Chinese bureaucracy works. But I'm guessing that even if he actually believes that, it won't necessarily mean in practice that that'll actually happen.
No.
Right.
But it's just a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity. Put cameras all over everything. and videotape all of it. And just look at it. And let's take a robot down there. Let's take a picture of it. Come back and work back from there.
Agreed.
Why is that so hard?
And if you look at some of the pictures using these like exploration rigs, like you have a picture of like a robot arm grabbing that like stalactite polymetallic nodule thing, and there's like clearly like snails all over it, like unmistakably snails, like living things that are there, and they're just like, oh yeah, it seems fine for mineral exploitation. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, it's been down there that long that it can grow an actual snail on it. That's disturbing by itself.
It's not even just one; it's like a bunch of them. It's like like one of those little things has like 24 like in plain view. It's crazy. Yeah, like one of the things I was reading about the benthic layer is that like any disturbance to it is like it's almost like leaving footprints on the moon. There's tracks from like 5 decades ago that are still there because like that shit doesn't change like at all. So like anything that you fuck up is going to be fucked up for like a long time. It's like some of the most ancient life on the planet.
Why does it not simply adapt to me being
So the next thing we're talking about is some post-apocalyptic worlds. The first one is Gargantia of the Verdurous Planet. Kind of a weird name, but you know, it's an anime, so
I know words.
Yeah. Is this the one you know about, Trew?
Gargantia? Yeah.
Okay. You haven't watched Blue Sub 6?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh my god, man. Well, you are too young for that. So.
Well, we don't have to age people on this show.
So, Gargantia is written by Jen Urobushi, who also wrote Madoka Magica, Expelled from Paradise, and Psychopaths, which I've seen 2 of those.
They're all very good, except for the second one, because I don't know what...
I barely paid attention to Expelled from Paradise. Psychopaths is cool.
Psychopaths was cool.
Yeah. I'll probably watch Expelled from Paradise again, because it's just a movie. It's like...
And Madoka
90 minutes.
Magic is objectively the best anime.
I still gotta watch that one. I will watch it in the future. But, yeah, so Gargantia is an anime about Leto, a human alien from a spacefaring civilization who gets somehow separated from his compatriots. I don't know how because I wasn't paying attention to that part.
Falls into a big hole.
Okay. And so he finds refuge in the Gargantia, which is either the name of the main ship or the name of the flotilla of ships on a vast water planet filled with pirates and holy squid monsters.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So Gargantia is like a full-on like microstate, complete with like a ruling class, a military, money, and employment.
Uh-huh.
So kind of like what we were talking about earlier, where we just get a bunch of boats and turn them into microstates.
Right.
Kind of the same thing that they're doing there. And so like while previously it was just this like flotilla of like shitty boats that was kind of at the mercy of like pirates that had better weapons and more ships to attack them with, sort of like how like early states were vulnerable to like the Khans. Leto and his giant robot are vastly more powerful than any threat on the planet, and so they like change the balance of power in the world, and that kind of like drives the whole story. Basically, the story is kind of like about Leto being like socialized into this new society that he joins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure it is.
All right, Trew, let's hear your take on it.
It's about that whole argument about Mars colonization, right?
Which one?
Where the do we adapt Mars to us, or do we adapt Mars?
Oh, right, yeah, that one.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So
Squids.
Oh,
I'm reading
man.
that. I'm reading that.
That's a racial term. That's fucked up, and it's got racist innuendos.
Yeah, the squids are all racist in it,
against
which
squids.
is really unfortunate. I really disagreed with that part of it.
Racist squids are probably the worst squids.
There was talk about Nick Land and I mean, it's kind of ironic. You would think that squids wouldn't talk about Nick Land because they're like sea creatures,
Yeah,
but
here they are, like fighting left and right. Nick Land. They're not actually. They're not sea creatures. They're space creatures.
That's true, and they are, but they live in the sea, so they're sea residents at least.
Is space not legally just another sea?
I was gonna say something about being, like citizenship or something, but you're like squidicenship. But like, let's just leave it there. I'm a full squidison. I don't fucking know.
So there's like a few different conflicts in the show, which like, the overt one is like, how
do you fuck a squid person?
Yeah, exactly. It's Gargantia fighting against like all the pirates and cult members and whatnot that are trying to control the planet. And the like more subtle one is these like holy squid monster things. Leto's space race alien guys have been basically like genociding them.
Oof.
And so he finds out like the truth of the squid monsters and has to decide is genocide good or not.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, space race war. Exactly. It's a space race war.
So what's your conclusion, Ryan? I just want you to say the words.
I'm gonna go all the way. I'm gonna say genocide, not really my particular favorite thing.
Okay.
In most circumstances.
So you're a centrist.
So, sometimes it's okay. Okay, so all right. So I'm not gonna say it's bad, but like a little bit is okay.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of genocide is fine, but it's excessive genocide that's the problem.
Do you have any sources on that?
The Constitution, for one.
Well.
Adam Smith.
Good pull.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah. Good guy. And of course, all the classical thinkers.
Right.
Nietzsche.
I'm not going to say any names because you already know who they are. I'm not going to patronize you by naming them.
Like Murray Bookchin. Google it.
Right. Nick Land.
Yeah. Murray Bookchin. He's one of them.
Like, just shut the fuck up and listen to Google Murray Bookchin.
Let's see what else. I didn't take very good notes on this part because they're all disjointed. They're on like 3 different sheets of paper.
You couldn't wait.
I already did.
Wait to tell us that you liked genocide. That's why the notes are so shitty.
Yeah, it's just all in my head. I thought I would be able to rattle it off. Like,
there's a bunch of incomplete sentences here.
Point 1, why genocide is good. Point 2, why genocide is good.
Right.
But the anime comes to the opposite conclusion that genocide maybe not so great.
Okay.
And so, but only after it's all done, do they come?
Weird.
Right.
Weird. If you watch all of it.
So at the beginning, they're like genocide. At the end, they're like genocide is bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then also kind of like is good. It's one of the other things because it's not as
big ship cities are cool and cozy, and I want to live in one.
Yeah, I mean it does. It actually does seem pretty cool to live there because mostly because it's like you're not trying to destroy everything else on the planet. I guess.
Imagine living there and still having money, though. Whose idea was that?
Yeah.
No, it's weird. It's a weird one, but it's a thing to think about. You ever sleep 3 people above you?
No.
Just like you're like going to sleep, and there's like 2 people sleeping above you.
In a row or in a stack?
Like bunks?
Or
like on bunk beds.
You're just
with a long white
you're just
nightgown,
the coziest body in the pile.
You had 2 people sleeping above you. Bunks.
Okay. Because the bunks makes a big difference.
Yeah, that does make it. It's a structural difference.
I mean, it's like there's two like fellas sleeping.
Right.
Fellas.
Just arms and legs everywhere.
I mean, not top, yeah. I mean, you get like fucking like 14 inches.
Go on.
It's nice. I
That's all
mean,
the space I need. I'll tell you.
Right.
I mean, 14 inches is nice, right?
Yeah.
As long as I don't get morning wood, then I won't have enough room. You know.
You'll basically bleed to death.
We all.
I'm secure enough not to lie like rock in here. I'd only need like 2 more inches.
Well, you just punch yourself in the face.
I mean, like, what do you think the living conditions are gonna be for those people that work those robots that go like?
It seems that they are like petite bourgeois in this society.
Yeah, they do.
Like they're like underwater cops, you know, like everyone looks up to them for some reason, even though, clearly in this society they look up to them, even though in most societies the people that do the majority of the production or resource extraction aren't really cared about.
They're like astronauts, though. They're like astronauts in the 60s or 70s.
Right.
They're like celebrities.
Interesting.
Aquanauts.
Right. Indeed.
So wait, what did you think of Gargantia? How would you rate it?
What's that?
How would you rate Gargantia overall? Because you watched it.
Good question. I would give it my Bernie Sanders vote, but I don't feel very good about
it. Okay. Trew, how would you rate Gargantia?
What kind of scale are we talking here?
Apparently it's Democratic primaries.
Ugh, wait,
my bad.
Like 2020 or 2016?
2020.
I don't know. I haven't been paying attention.
So it goes from let's say 0 is Pete Buttigieg, and 10 is Mike Gravel.
Shit. Who's a 7? Warren?
Bernie Sanders.
No.
6 is a
yeah,
Warren.
okay. It's got.
All of this is bullshit.
I'd say we're between Warren and Sanders.
Okay. So a not so reluctant vote, but a fairly confident one you can feel okay about.
Yeah, one I'll only regret when I get trolled on the internet for it. Or like 2 years later when one of them votes for like Sesta or some shit.
I think for my rating, so I've mentioned before, I'm not big into giant robot anime anymore.
Yeah,
I think
it's.
Oh, okay.
No, I think it peaked with Gundam 0080. That's the greatest
you hated
giant
Code
robot
Geass
show
because you're
ever.
a jackass.
And I have not watched Evangelion. Don't ask me to watch it. I will not do that.
Do it.
So and also this anime is kind of horny, which I don't like. So I will say
Horny.
I would say it's about a Warren vote for me as well. I thought it was pretty cool. I liked seeing the water planet and everything. It was like a nice it's like a positive vision of a post-apocalyptic world. I think for the most part, there was like pirates and stuff, but other than that, there's like a functioning society and like
the big
not
cult.
like a terrible
Let's talk about the
dystopia.
cult.
Yeah, we could mention the cult. Sure.
I like the cult.
Worthwhile talking
It's
about.
funny.
Yeah, what was with them like dumping all the people in the ocean? What's up with that?
It's a Purge classic
Okay.
aesthetic version.
It's some ego-fascism.
Keeping the sun rising, or what was the deal there?
Well, it sort of goes on with the so Leto, is that his name? Leto, I don't know. Either way, the society he's from, the big space colony, they're clearly a very what do you call that? Eugenicist,
Yeah,
fucking war-oriented,
highly
militaristic.
Empire. Yeah, kill anyone. They're Spartans, basically. They're Spartans.
Yeah, yes. He drops a few hints here and there that he had someone he was close to, like a younger brother that got purged because he was ill or something.
Right.
And
Yeah,
like when he
and
meets
big no
what's her face,
big
the generic heroine's younger brother. He's all like, "Oh yeah, where I'm from, you'd be dead, my dude. You'd be thrown into fucking space."
Yeah.
Cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, the cult being inspired by
not cool with that.
the cult's clearly inspired by that because it's ran by that one superior officer dude. So they're just doing the same thing of constantly expanding to prepare for some sort of war with the pirates or whatever. Yeah, and then they just dump anyone that is seen as either unfit or antisocial, if you will. You know, generic Nazi shit.
Right.
Like, oh, you're not contributing to the war effort, even though we're not at war with anything per se.
Right.
I think, given the chance, Leto would totally be at the head of a labor movement, though.
Yeah.
Because his whole thing of like, they give him vacation time. He's like, oh, cool, I guess.
He's like the type of comrade that came from the military and was like, yeah, really into that shit, and then suddenly is like, oh wait, that's bad.
Right.
Do that, and a better world is possible. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And they just go like full on.
Right, because he like immediately starts trying to attack the squids, and everyone's like, "Dude, why would you do that?"
I imagine that.
They never really explained why they thought they were holy, though. I guess did they?
Huh.
Oh, because they detract those. They didn't so much think they were holy; they just thought of them as, you know, like classic deities, where they're just powerful, so you don't want to fuck with them.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense.
But also, I think they were like related to the weird electric bug things that everyone used for power.
Huh.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so they have like basically unlimited power source.
Interesting.
Yeah, let's not talk about the ecology of that.
Yeah, they weren't assholes.
Probably good, I would think. Using life forms for energy.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts on Gargantia?
Oh, I've got thoughts.
That's a good anime. And the other anime. What's the other anime called?
Wasn't it like not an anime or something? I don't remember. Ryan implied something.
Yeah, the other one is Blue Submarine No. 6.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one that some of our listeners might be familiar with because
what happened to the other 5?
I don't know, actually.
Hey.
There's 0 in the series.
Implications.
Yeah, it's actually 6 others. But anyway, so it was actually on Toonami. It's one of the earliest anime that was on Toonami besides like Dragon Ball Z and stuff. So a lot of people have probably seen it already. But maybe a lot of you saw it as like, teens or tweens. And it's like, if you watch it again, it fucking rules, actually. It's very good. Way better than I remembered. So it's only a 4-episode series, so you can watch it in like 2 hours and 15 minutes or so. And it's a post-apocalyptic military drama, which like for me normally is like kind of boring shit, but in this case is like really awesome. And it also has like a really cool jazz soundtrack. And the weird thing about that is like there is another famous like sci-fi post-apocalyptic drama with a really good jazz soundtrack called Cowboy Bebop, which everyone's heard of.
Never heard of it.
And it came out literally one day before Blue Submarine No. 6. Like one day.
Get wrecked.
So
Funny
I don't
you should
know
say that because this show's all about Rex.
Oh damn.
Oh god damn. That's all I know about the show.
Did you get time to watch the last episode, Chris?
I saw like a part of the first episode and a part of the last episode because I was like, I can't step into the last one without at least getting some context. But then by the time I got the context, I was like, oh shit, we're recording in like 30 minutes. So yeah, it's been a long day.
So the plot basically is like humanity is like near extinction after reaching like the apex of civilization, which
thank God.
Fortunately, went beyond where we are at now.
Yeah,
it wasn't like where like we are currently, where the apex of civilization was like 1999.
Is like we were
watching
rich Republicans.
Blue Submarine No. 6 on Toonami.
Yeah, right.
So it like nearly eliminated material expanded like human dwellings to the ocean floor, and had all this like genetic engineering shit. And so there was this guy, this Albanian scientist named Dr. Zorndike.
Of course, he's
who's a highly, yeah.
I mean, off-brand.
He was a highly respected, famous, wealthy, and important genetic scientist who was like working on this big GMO crop project, basically, that enabled farming in the desert, including Antarctica, which is the world's largest desert. But it's like both hot and cold deserts. So while he was doing this, his wife and family were killed, and I couldn't confirm the reason, because the DVD files, which I have not seen personally, say it was because of his research. But another, like a wiki page that I saw, said it was basically a pogrom. This was in Albania.
Right.
And like I think the pogrom thing is kind of more supported by the actual show, because it says like countless others were killed. And so if he was killed for his research, like that wouldn't really make sense. But anyway, so
it's like the Joker thing where they just kill a bunch of people to get his attention. Just keep killing until he stops.
Right.
Stop fucking with the corn, man.
Right.
So Zorndike was traumatized by that and kind of became like a full-on nihilist.
Okay.
And
fair.
So he decided that he was going to teach humanity a lesson.
So
he set something up to like melt the ice caps.
Whoa.
And created a race of intelligent sea monsters.
Yeah, he's exactly right.
Yeah.
He went back in time and created private property.
But all in all, he killed 10 billion people.
Shit.
Yeah, so there's 11 billion people on the Earth, so it's almost the entire population of the world. So during the events of the show, there's 1 billion humans left, and they're
plenty,
basically crowded.
Realistically speaking, yeah,
they're crowded onto the small amount of land that's left over.
Right.
And like in the show, he like literally has a black void where his heart should be, to symbolize like the heartlessness that he has, that was caused by the drama of the pogrom or whatever. And so his goal was to like force humanity to put an end to pointless strife.
Does he carry around like a locket that he constantly looks at while people aren't noticing, and then like finally somebody looks at the inside of the locket while he's dying, and it's like a picture of corn?
No.
Okay. I mean, I'm just as a writer, I have to think about these things.
and you mean Corn the band, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what he was creating in Antarctica. That's why they wanted to kill his family.
He's growing a bunch of Jonathan Davises in Antarctica. So like at first he seems like he's just like a regular eco-fascist, because he's like,
garden variety.
Too many people. You need to kill everyone. Insulin sucks, man. That kind of thing.
Right.
But like at the end of the whole thing, like once you hear his whole speech and like kind of get a feeling for his personality, he kind of seems more like a nihilist social ecologist, because his whole goal is to like force humans to learn to live with nature and not try to dominate it.
Right.
So like,
so he's
obviously very bad person,
right?
He killed 10 billion people. That's
yeah.
Again, I gotta say, like a little bit of genocide is fine, but extreme genocide, just too much. And 10 billion, I think, is a little bit on the extreme side.
Yeah, it's a little bit. If you can't count to the number on your hands and on your fingers and toes, then it's probably too many. Right.
Yeah. And you can use millions when you're doing that count.
Yeah, that's
So he's in the show, like Zorndike is a lot like a Kurtz figure, like from Heart of Darkness or Apocalypse Now. It's like the same kind of character. And he even like looks like it aesthetically. Like he when you first see him, he's like sitting in a big like villager type dwelling, like open air hut kind of thing. And he's like sitting on a wicker chair, and he's wearing like a khaki shirt and everything. And he's in like a village of like genetically engineered like savage characters. You know, they're not really savages, just like
they just have different ways and we don't
Vietnamese and African people aren't, but you know, that's what they're supposed to be in the text of the series.
Gotcha.
And then a lot of other people have compared him to Dr. Moreau, who like
right. Yep.
I haven't read that book, so I don't know anything about it. But like because he created like chimeras.
Yeah. That's basically
people compare him to that.
Big shtick with Moreau. Yep.
Yeah. One other thing I forgot to mention is like this was one of the first shows to merge like traditional animation with 3D computer graphics. And it's like kind of ham-fisted in doing it because it was
kind of like
very early version of that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, forcing us to accept a hybrid of two things that don't belong together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Naturalizing. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh my god, pastiche.
But I actually like at first it was kind of jarring, but like by the time I got to the fourth episode, like with the aesthetic of the show and like the fact that there's like evil sea chimeras everywhere and like the animation has like there's like a lot of smokiness to it.
Right.
It actually works pretty well, I think. It just kind of makes it look really trippy, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are complaining about it, but I think they're Philistines or they need to smoke some motherfucking weed. So,
so basically you start off with like a genocide of 10 billion people and some shitty, like annoying CGI, but by the fourth episode, you just don't even feel it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
you've been persuaded.
I think the problem in the first episode was like some of the CGI was like above water, and it doesn't look as good as like the stuff that's underwater looks really good, especially like the titular submarine, Blue Sub 6. It looks pretty good. Yeah,
titular sub.
Titular.
Tit.
And it does some like it lets them do some cool stuff. Like they had a pretty low budget for the show, but like some of the like submarine battles are like really fucking cool looking because they're doing all these like fighter jet type maneuvers with the submarines, and they can do that because of the CGI. But
we
anyway,
should really talk to the Navy about this.
So like since this show's been out for so long, I'm just going to talk about the ending. So the end of the show is like a notorious anticlimax.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of the reviewers said, and I probably agreed. I don't remember because my memory sucks. But they said as a kid, it's really bad. It's like you think there's going to be this like cool epic battle like at the end of any anime between the shark
Big
monster
robot.
who's like the main villain who's like seen the most in the series, who's a creation of Zorndike. His name is Verg. So there's
Of course.
the Verg and Hayama, the main human character, face up against each other, and you think there's gonna be this cool epic battle, and it basically is just like it's actually a lot like the very very end of Naruto, where Naruto and Sasuke are just like punching each other pathetically.
Are you gonna fucking spoil Naruto for me now too?
Look,
just pathetically like refusing to reconcile with each other and realize that they need to stop fighting because they both lose, and the only way to win is to just not fight anymore. And so, like, as an adult, it kind of kicks ass because it's like you're just looking at these two guys being boneheaded and
Right.
just doing like giving each other like nasty, unnecessary injuries and hating each other and screaming at each other. And yeah, it's really good. And yeah, it reflects like how unsatisfying the end of any like war or conflict is. We kind of wish for like total victory or total acceptance, and neither ever really happens. It's always both parties hate each other.
Yep.
And everyone loses.
Yep.
And so that's how the end of the show is, which is it's great, I think.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so let's see. And a lot of other reviewers mentioned how much they liked Verg's character. I thought he was okay. I didn't find him that interesting. He's sort of like the Joker, but instead of being funny and a clown, he's like a horny shark.
Well,
so,
now
so I don't know. But,
Need more clowns.
but you know what? At the end in that final scene, like, and right before it, like, so Zorndike dies, and Zorndike is like Verg's dad, and Verg like really looks up to him and stuff. And he like runs over to his body, who's like covered up, and like pulls the cover off, and just like goes crazy and is like screaming at nothing and everything. It was like very sympathetic, I think. It was really well done. I don't think it was because his character was good. I think it was because like that part was just written really well. Yeah, it was a CG. One character I did really like though was so there are these like genetically engineered like whales that are like submarines, like they carry other creatures, and they also have like weapons and stuff. And there's one that was like a prototype that's like defective, and he was like a really forgiving, like human-like character who strongly influenced the main character and the events of the show, and kind of like determined the outcome of the show, really. And his death scene was like beautiful, I thought. So he was probably my favorite character besides Zorndike.
I liked it when he died. That was a good.
Yeah, he died really well. He did a good job dying in the show. You know?
Damn.
He was happy to do it for the most part.
If only these types,
whom among us,
right? If only these types could be around to appreciate their redemptive arc after they do that so well.
Yeah, exactly. So for this one, I would rate it a 10 out of 10. Actually, you know, like I can't really ding it for the CGI because that's just like technological limitations. There's nothing they could have. I think it'd be cool if they retouched it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's either that or like claymation, you know. So
yeah.
All the best anime uses,
as we know.
Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run,
or what's
that
that shit that Madoka Magica uses? It's like cut out paper. It's
yeah.
Love it.
But yeah, I thought it was a really creative show. It's willing to go to like really places to tell the themes that it covers, and yeah, I think people who like the show are fanatical about it for a good reason. If you look up Blue Submarine #6, there's like so many blog posts about it from as late as like 2009, because people were like really into the show, and somehow it spawned 2 video games, even though it was only a 4-episode series. It wasn't super popular. There's a PlayStation game and a Dreamcast game for it. So. Yeah.
Dreamcast.
Yeah. So that's all I have, I guess. That was the episode.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed that, check out our other episodes at neighborsciencepodcast.com. You can follow us on Twitter at neighborscipod. I'm at Handle of Rye. Chris is at solidarity_goth. Trew is at Trewbot. Right?
Sure.
Soy Boy is at Half Astronaut. That's impossible for me to spell, so just look at that shit.
Yeah, just keep typing until you get it.
Yeah.
Find it.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Owned.